New York and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, it's Ebro in the morning. You got Laura Stiles, you got Rosenberg, and the homie Lena Waithe, friend of the show, back on the program. My sister-in-law.
Yeah.
What's up, in-law?
What's going on, man?
How you doing?
I'm fantastic. I can't complain.
Proud of y'all, man. The marriage, everything working out nice.
Thank you so much. I know we got some jewelry.
I talked to your father-in-law, too,
Oh,
man.
you did?
Yeah.
What was he saying?
He talking his shit. Shout out to
Talking
Barry
trash.
Mayo. You know what I'm
Barry
saying?
Mayo. I used to call him Big B.
Yeah, he's fighting through a tough time, but he's, you know.
Yeah,
He's
he's a
hanging in
warrior.
there.
He's a survivor.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
If you don't know, Barry Mayo, one of my radio mentors, was the first program director to play rap music on the radio, prime time, like not on the weekend shows or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Prime time, Run DMC, Sucker MCs, New York City, Kiss FM.
Yeah.
First program director, let that fly.
Yeah.
And that is
Pioneer.
your father-in-law.
It's my father-in-law, yeah. He's also just my buddy. You know, he and I really vibe. We have a very similar personality, you know, come in and just, you know, we enjoy being the life of the party. He's my guy, though. He's a good dude. He always got good advice to give, words of wisdom.
That guy.
I love him. I love his big old house in upstate New York, too. I like go kicking it there.
Now, do you guys compete? Because he's a photographer now. You know, now he's a photographer.
He is a photographer. I think he's always been a photographer. You know, now he just gets to do it all the time.
Right.
We do compete a little bit with, like, pictures. Whenever we go to events, like, we always do okay, which shot did you get? Okay, this is the shot. Okay, I think you got the winner here. Or I got the winner. We always competing about that. His son, Alex Mayo, is a wonderful photographer.
Now, on that note, Queen and Slim,
Yeah.
which is out
The 27th.
of
You
November.
can get tickets right now, though, if people want to go buy their
Buy them
advance
early
tickets.
reserve slots.
Go get them. Go get them.
Queen and Slim, the cinematography, the visuals. The story's incredible.
Thank you.
The soundtrack's incredible.
Yeah.
The acting's incredible, but
Phenomenal.
the visuals.
Melina Matsoukas, Tad Ratcliffe. I mean,
they killed it.
It's nuts. I mean, I think people have. You know what's interesting about Melina's work is that people have been influenced by it and not even aware of it. You know, I mean, the videos she's done. She really has been capturing us for a while now. Whether it be like from Formation to Insecure to the Thanksgiving episode, which she masterfully directed, obviously to now Queen and Slim. And the funny thing is, I was still writing Queen and Slim while we were filming the Thanksgiving episode. And she and I were vibing so much that I was like, oh, I think she should direct this thing. And so I told her about it. Like, yo, I'm writing this movie. I think you should direct it. She was like, all right, let me know when it's done. We'll see.
And
Melina's
at
super
that
picky.
point, was she, at that point, that's a few years ago now already. So
yeah.
when you're saying I'm writing this thing, you were Lena Waithe, but you weren't Lena Waithe yet. Like, did she take it as like, oh, this is actually going to happen and be a completed movie?
I think the thing was we had bonded so quickly, and her thing was, so at that point we were like sisters. And she didn't want to base her decision on whether or not she did the movie because of our friendship, because of our love for each other. She wanted to base it on the material.
Good, right.
Yeah, and so, and I mean, because she passed on the Thanksgiving episode before she read it. She was like, no, I don't want to come into a world, didn't have to, you know, kind of abide by anybody's rules. And then I called her, you know, I was filming Ready Player One at the time. I remember I was in London, and I called her and I was like, yo, read the script. Read it. Trust me. Like, this is going to be revolutionary. Like, a black woman has never come out on television before. It was a whole thing. She's like, all right. So she read it, and she's like, all right, I want to come direct this, because she felt like it was special. And so then, you know, it took her a beat to read Queen and Slim. That's why Daniel read it first. Daniel Kaluuya and I had dinner. I told him about, like, you don't do this thing, like, two black people kill a cop in self-defense. He's like, say less. Say less. Send me the script. I want to read it. Just on some, like, you know, just black shit. He was like, I just want to read what you're writing right now, because he had read the pilot of The Chi. He had seen some of my works. He was a fan. And so he read it, and then 2 days later, he emailed me and said, I'm Slim. I got to be Slim. And I was like, that's interesting. I was like, okay, I didn't think about that. But I said, okay, pump your brakes, because I said, I want Melina to direct it. So I was like, well, if she decides to do it, whoever Queen and Slim are going to be is going to be a conversation between she and I. And he was like, all right, I'll wait. And he did. He waited for a few months. And then she finally read it and was like, yeah, this is the first feature. We're going to do this. We were like, all right. I was like, cool. And I was like, okay, great. Daniel Kaluuya want to be Slim. She's like, he ain't Slim. No, I don't see that at all. I was like, I get it, but ever since he said it to me, he's been in my head. So I was like, you should go sit with him. She's like, I'll give him 5 minutes. I was like, fair enough. So she went and sat with him for 5 minutes, but that turned into 5 hours. And then she called me and said, I hope you still like him, because I offered him the part at the table. I was like, great.
Wait, was this already post Get Out?
This is post Get Out. He had also done Black Panther. He had filmed
She was still on some, I'll give him 5 minutes.
But yeah.
Okay.
But she was just like, I don't see him. But I don't think Black Panther had come out yet.
Right.
So all she had seen was Get Out.
Got it.
And she was like, that ain't Slim. And I was like, I'm telling you, I think he's right. And so, and there was 3 with Hard Way, and then we had our script, and then these studios were like, whatever you want, we'll give you. Because I think they knew before we did. They were like, this is something different. And, and it was like, we were like Jesus Shuttlesworth and He's Got Game every time we went to these studios. And that's when I realized, I was like, oh, we got the leverage here. So I was like, oh, I want Final Cut. I want a fat budget. I want to shoot it and release it in the same year because this is urgent art. And I want to break a new actress. We were like, she has to be brown-skinned. And
What's her name again?
Jodie Turner-Smith.
Listen, man, I had to hit my girlfriend. Like, listen,
let's have a conversation.
I need a pass.
A lot of guys are gonna be texting their girlfriends that. But then also too, a thing was I wouldn't take a note from a white person. This movie's in our native tongue. Come sit with us. Come rock with us.
Yeah. Well, and on that, so this is a tough interview for me because I've seen the whole film.
You've seen it. I think all of y'all have seen it.
I saw it.
couldn't.
The one white person hasn't seen it.
Well,
Which
and by the way, not only the one white person, the person who I've seen the trailer for 7 months, and was like the second I saw the trailer was like, I'm seeing this, and then I have not been able to make one of the
all
screenings.
good. That's
but
all good.
I kind of wanted to see it in the theater. I'm kind of cool.
Yeah, man. Well,
with not seeing a screener, but going to actually sit with the people.
Here's been the most amazing thing. We've been doing screenings all over and showing to people. The response has been phenomenal.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just been overwhelming and really flattering. But the cool thing is, everybody who's gone to the screening, they're like, not only do they want to support it when it comes out Thanksgiving weekend, but they're like, I need to see it again, which to me is the greatest compliment anyone could ever give me. Because I'm a person that, like, if I like something, I'll watch it again and again. Like, you know how many times I've seen Do the Right Thing? How many times I've seen Love Jones or Boys in the Hood or New Jack City or Menace to Society? Like, for some reason, we watch these movies so much, like, paid in full. We can say the dialogue. And so with people saying, like, I want to see it again, I want to see it again and again and again and again. And that, to me, is the greatest compliment anyone could ever give me.
Now, one of my favorite things, and this isn't giving away plots or anything.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about the film is you see small town Black America.
Oh, yeah.
And small town Black America is not something that mainstream America even pays attention to at all.
Right.
Black towns, Black hardworking people,
Right.
Black generational businesses, clubs, lands.
Yeah.
It's this whole thing. And there's a piece of the film that's about Black folks in a way that's like you forget that we are that.
Yeah.
Because we are that for each other.
Yeah, working class, like communities.
But even the support mechanism.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's a support mechanism in this film that I don't know. I'm sure people are paying attention to a lot of things in the film
Sure.
that are, but for me, that's the thing that jumps out that you don't see in film.
It's like Black unity.
Black unity,
Right.
but without knowing what's going on. Mm-hmm. Just
like,
blind, like, some Black people are going through something. They
got
need
you.
us.
We here.
Boom.
You say
And
there.
that piece is something that I think, obviously coming from a family of Black people and white people and seeing that on both sides, I know that takes place.
Yeah.
But mainstream America doesn't see Black America that way.
Right.
But also, it is important to point out that does not exist for white people. There maybe on some crazy clandestine racist world it does, but in a typical regular person, there's no such thing as white community. That's not a thing.
Well, no, that's just America.
That's just right. There's knowing people and being like rich people look out for rich people and all the connections that exist, but it's not an actual sense of real community. Like, I'm
you
white.
have smaller ones. You have Catholics, Jews.
Yes. Oh no, for sure. That one exists.
The
Like
religious thing.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
right.
I'm
And you have
the
the
Jewish
wealth
one.
thing. You have the wealth
The
thing.
Jewish one exists.
Right, the
I don't know
wealth-
about the wealth one. I'm sure that
thing.
exists.
No, but
to
this
some degree.
isn't even about. This is just like, some Black
We have
people.
there's a common experience, which
Right.
is shit has gone down,
Right.
and the only people you could go to for help are people who know that common experience.
Yeah. And that's the thing about the characters that Queen and Slim start to realize how much, what Black community actually means, and actually it means their livelihood. Like their lives are sort of in the balance, and Black people kind of hold them up.
So how do you feel about, there's been a conversation that we now have had on our show, and it's been a lot of places, about Black British actors playing American parts.
Right.
Queen and Slim obviously is a Black story, but it is also an American story.
For sure.
Daniel, of course, is an amazing British actor. Your thoughts on that whole
Honestly, I
controversy?
think it's divisive, and I think it doesn't move the culture forward. And I always say this, for anyone that has that argument or like, oh, let's get some American, whatever. As like, at the end of the day, if you're Black and you get pulled over by a police officer, he's not gonna not kill you because you have a British accent.
That is a fact.
So we all in this together. You know, black is black is black is black. And we all get discriminated against. We all get treated like second-class citizens in a country that our ancestors helped build. And to me, I'm a big proponent of black unity. I don't care where you come from. If you black, we family.
Well, that's Pan-Africanism, right? And I think that's the piece that the slave master, right, and the plantation has programmed into American blacks is thinking that our experience is somehow disconnected completely from the transatlantic slave trade and slaves that went to Jamaica, slaves that went to the Dominican Republic, Brazil, the colonialism that took place on the continent in Africa, slaves that ended up in Europe via that same colonialism, right?
Absolutely.
So our brains are programmed to think that somehow that's not us.
Right.
That is us. And the power actual dynamic is when we separate ourselves because of that, that's how they continue to keep us weak.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we stand stronger when we stand together.
There was a really beautiful and important moment for me was the young teenager that was in the scene and how he was so emotional and he was so inspired and he was so angry. And, you know, obviously I can't say too much without giving it away. But why was that character so important for you to include in the film?
I think because, you know, they say let the children lead them. But the truth is the children are following us. They imitate us. They mimic us. It's even almost a commentary on hip-hop culture in that what do young black kids do? They imitate their favorite rappers, their favorite athletes. And so to me, it's almost a meditation on we must watch our behavior. We must watch how we behave in front of our youth because they don't necessarily understand why we do what we do, but they know how to repeat it and how to imitate it. And that can sometimes get them in trouble. But I also understand our children needing heroes. They need people to look up to. They need people to follow. But who they choose to follow can determine our future. And that was something I really wanted to explore.
Yeah.
Do you, you know, you said you went to tons of movie houses and you realized that the power was in your hands, right? So here we are, 2019. So this is the power in your hands, you, right, has over the last 24, 36 months increased. What does it feel like for you in Hollywood right now?
You know, it feels good. You know, there's still battles that we got to fight and things that we have to do.
Can you give me an example?
You know, it's still, here's the deal. Most networks and studios are still owned by white guys, you know, and so, and the truth is black content sort of represents a jackpot a little bit right now. It's like they know that this experience can be commodified. And at the end of the day, I always tell people, Hollywood don't care about color, they care about commerce. So for someone like me who does care about color and cares about the community and the culture, I have to be mindful to figure out ways to get as much power as I can to tell our stories as authentically as I possibly can. But there's still things like if I want to do like a black drama, there's still this thing about like, well, can there be more levity? Can they smile more? Can they do this? Or I don't understand that. So we still sometimes have to water down our work so that we can get it on the air or get it on the screen. And that's why I think Queen and Slim is so unique because I said to them, this will not be touched by the white gaze. Like, we've been watching y'all's movies forever.
G-A-Z-E?
Yeah. White people, white voice, white hands, white eyes. This is for us. Now, I implore everyone to come and see the film because you can't understand me until you see the world through my lens and through our lens. And the truth is, to be black is beautiful, but it's also traumatizing. You know, when there's a thing about the police and that they are to protect and serve, how many people of color are they protecting? How many people of color are they serving? You know, when I was a young person,
Well, serve like, I'm about to serve you these
bullets, these tasers.
Right.
But as a young person, as a young black person in school, right, they have the police officer come and say, this is your friend. He's here to help you if you're ever in trouble. But then I also have to watch civil rights movement footage where I see police officers hosing down black
People
college
look like
students. sending dogs onto them, beating them with batons. So it's almost like whiplash for young Black people, for people of color, about terms of what they represent. Now, again, this is not an anti-cop movie per se. This because when people see the film, you'll see that everyone is colored with shades of gray. No one is born a monster. We're all human beings, but we often are taught how to judge and what to think when we see certain people. And ultimately, to me, the movie is really for the community because we've been seeing the white community in cinema and on celluloid from the beginning of time. And I just refused. I was like, no, this is ours. And folks should come to sit at the table and be privileged to come sit at that table.
Now, does that, taking a stand like that, right? Some people would think that's somehow like revolutionary or remarkable in some way, but it seems like you've earned that, though.
Yeah, but also I think that's every filmmaker's right, to tell a story in your native tongue and to not have it be put through a filter by those who are at the top of the food chain. Because the truth is that we have to learn about each other. We have to really understand each other. And what I tried to do with the film was to really put people in our world and be forced to feel how we feel every day.
Now, do you, going forward, right? Right, because I'm sure this movie's going to be extremely successful. Because I can just tell by the momentum. The soundtrack's phenomenal. I don't know if you had a hand in that.
Oh, yeah, me and Melina really, we purposely said, we want to bring the soundtrack back. Because for us, growing up in the 90s, like, soundtracks were like albums to us. Like, Waiting to Exhale, that was like an album. Love Jones was bigger than the movie. Soul Food soundtrack, Boomerang, like, those were just like albums. And so me and Melina really wanted that as well. And also in the interest of serving the Black community, we went to Motown, and they were really on board and excited. And then there were a couple artists that we loved that we said, okay, we're going to show you the movie. And then come back to us.
Ethiopia's been on my text over at Motown.
She's such a warrior, and she was really a big reason why we were like, yeah, we want to make this soundtrack with this Black woman at Motown. It was like really big for us. Yeah. And then me and Melina just kind of made a list of like artists that we loved, that we had to have on the soundtrack, like BJ the Chicago Kid, Meg Thee Stallion, all that kind of stuff, Vince, and we just, showed them the movie, and they came back.
Burna Boy sampling Fela.
Yes.
Shakara, and flips it.
Crazy.
It does a whole new thing. It's incredible. Yeah.
What about Lauryn Hill?
Lauryn Hill. So that was a thing. I remember me and Melina sitting in the edit bay, and we were like, we need like a big, like iconic artist, on the soundtrack. And we were just sort of throwing names back and forth, and nothing was kind of not really hitting right. And then Melina said, what about Lauryn? What about Lauryn Hill? And I was like, yo, man, I don't know, dog. I don't know if we're going to get that. And Melina was like, well, we should at least try. Let's just see what happens. Like, all right. And we got some mutual friends. So we reached out to her team, and they just were like, well, show her the movie. Show us the movie. So it was early days where we were like, all right, we'll get her a link and just say a prayer. And we did. We sent the link, and like a week later, we heard back that she was like, yo, I got a demo that's right for this. I'm going to give y'all a song. She enjoyed it. And I think that to us was almost like her stamp of approval made us feel like, oh, we got something.
Right, that momentum-wise, that
was like, and that was early. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were early in the editing phase. We were trying to build the soundtrack, trying to find the music we wanted. Because also the movie, we wanted to be a tribute to Black music as well. So there's gospel, there's Phelan, there's hip hop, there's old school, there's like an old blues, Dream song,
old Black blues in there.
It's like little. I mean,
we use Far Side big in the trailer.
Yeah, and that's also in the film as well.
Nice.
Like we sampled that and played with the musicality of it. So we really kind of wanted people, and also too, Solange loaned us a song, Alameda, which was amazing. She never does that. And so it just really feels like us. And that's how we wanted to take people on a journey through Black music. And you go on a journey with these characters, and a journey on this, just in general, the whole movie is an odyssey. But it's also a meditation on Blackness. And
what do you mean by that statement?
Meaning, to be Black is very complex. It's almost a responsibility. It's a privilege. There's something that comes with that. And there's also a weight to it. And it's almost, I say with Black people, that we're fighting a war every day that we didn't start. And so what does that look like every day? It's like, how do you want to show up? What kind of Black person do you want to be today? Do you want to be Martin Luther King? Do you want to be Malcolm X? Do you want to be Assata? And the big thing, too, is like, what kind of Black person do you want to be when you get pulled over? And that's the thing about the two characters, is that Malcolm X was my North Star for her, MLK was my North Star for him. And by the end of the movie, they swap places. But it's about like, are you MLK when you get pulled over? Are you yes, sir? No, sir. Okay, yes, you can search my truck. Yes, you can do this. Or are you Malcolm X? Like saying, do you have a warrant? Like, why are you pulling me over? What may I see your badge number? Like all those things. And so it's like, but also the question for us is, Do I want to debate this or do I want to make it home? Those are our choices in this world, in this country, and that's something I didn't want to shy away from in the film.
And speaking of shy, you didn't shy away from that sex scene either. Let's talk about it.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Let's talk. That sex scene.
Because here's the thing, and look, yes, and is it
because if I don't actually get the pass, I can always go back to the sex scene.
Is it an explicit sex scene? It is. But
it's taste though. It's still sexy though. It's
tasteful.
Not raunch.
It's tasteful. But the reason why it was important to me to have that, it's on the page. It was on the page. So Melina was like, I'm going to direct the hell out of it, as she does everything else in the film. But nothing is more human than sensuality, than sex, than making love. Nothing is more human than that. When's the last time you saw two black people making love on screen? Mm-hmm. Like when's the last time you saw two brown-skinned black people making love on screen?
I mean, I watch porn.
Not Pornhub.
Oh, sorry.
On celluloid in a movie.
Right.
And here's what people need to understand. When you don't see black people having sex, it's a way for you not to think of them as human beings. There's nothing more human than making love.
Right.
And it was important to me that I show us doing that. It was important that I show us laughing, living, even in the midst of oppression. Because the truth is, we have been living under oppression since the beginning of time, but we still find ways to be beautiful. We still find ways to be artful. We still find ways to be the 44th president of the United States. You don't get more resilient than us.
Beale Street has a nice love scene, but it's not like intense.
Well, it's a different one. It's different. It's a first time situation. Right. It's also, it's done differently. And also too, with this, it was like, it's not period. This is modern day.
It's right now.
And that's the big thing with Melina. She didn't want to do a period piece. She never wanted to do anything like that. I enjoy a period piece every now and then, but I steer away from it too. Because
did you write it specifically to one time, or it could have been?
No, I wrote it as right now.
It was supposed to be right now.
Black is open season on black bodies.
Right.
Always has been, but particularly right now.
Right now is a different version of that.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Harriet.
Okay.
You and I have exchanged on Harriet, because you were like, "Yo, motherfucker, get your ass to go see Harriet.
Go see Harriet. Like, get Cynthia up in here. Yeah. Like, let's and thank you for so much. I know y'all had her up here.
Yeah.
We did,
it was important. I think for us as a community to support that movie too. I know that there's space for all of us, and I'm a big believer in the tribe. I do it for the tribe. You talk about that power. My power is whatever power I have. I want to share it with those people who you guys haven't been introduced to yet.
Now, I loved the movie and came back and said I had two big issues with the movie, but I didn't tell my opinion because I saw it early. I wanted everybody else to go see it. And now that a lot of people have gone to see it and ignored the, I guess, controversy on the internet around, British actor playing one of our heroes. The only bad guy in the movie was a black man, and why are they making the villainizing the black man? And then what was it? There was another one.
That the most violent scene was
that was my
black
thing.
on black.
That struck me in Harriet. Now you've seen the film.
Yeah.
The two things that struck me was the most violent thing that took place in the film was black on black, was a black man stomping out a black woman. That was the most violent thing that they showed, because the film doesn't glorify violence at all.
Yeah.
But that struck me like, you know what I mean? And then it was also a white man shooting a black man was another very violent scene as well. And I was torn because our worst enemy oftentimes, too oftentimes, is ourselves.
Fair enough.
Historically speaking. But I don't know did that strike you at all?
I mean, I think the thing for me is I can never judge another artist's decisions. Right. Because I wasn't there during the making of it. I didn't get, even though I love Casey, I didn't get a chance to have a conversation with her about any of those things. Just the way I wouldn't want someone to come up in here and without having spoken to me, talk about, well, I didn't like this in the movie, I didn't like that. You know what I'm saying?
As a movie maker.
Yeah, exactly. To me, those conversations got to happen first, and then you can actually have a real dialogue about it. So for me, it's difficult to speak to it because, again, I saw Casey and I love her, and Casey made a movie that changed the course of my life, which was Eve's Bayou. So
I
to
didn't
me,
even know that was those.
Oh yeah, she wrote and directed. That's her first feature.
Wow.
So
Eve's Bayou was incredible.
yeah, and that's in my top 5. So to me, she's an icon. She's also an unsung hero, and I think in our industry. So I think and also I think at the end of the day, taking on something like that, because it's like I wouldn't have taken on Harriet. I wouldn't have had the back strength to put that on my back.
And a lot of people missed that the family was involved here, right? And these are black women working on a black film.
It's all, but it's like Deborah Martin Chase, who's also also a collaborator of mine, a friend of mine, Deborah Martin Chase, who produces the film. Also, she was the one that produced all those Whitney Houston films, like Sparkle, Cinderella. That was a huge thing on TV. Like, she's a phenomenal producer and someone who I'm honored to know. So, look, I think ultimately what you have to do is look at every film as an individual piece of work, and and you never know why certain filmmakers do certain things. But I think a big thing for me was on some Wale shit. Like, I'm rooting for everybody black. You know what I mean? Like, I want us all to succeed. And I want us all to have conversations about movies. Because that's a big, tough thing. And Kenya Barris and I talk about this, is that we as a black people still can't criticize each other in public about our work yet. You know, and that's a tough thing. It's like Scorsese going in on Marvel. It's like, yeah, is that a big conversation? Sure. But it's different if it was like us going in on each other.
Yeah,
you know,
like when Spike went at Tyler Perry.
Exactly, and
That
they
was
have
like,
now come to be like, I mean, didn't Tyler just dedicate a stage on his new soundstage to Spike?
Right.
And to me, that's what I do like to see, is that unity, is us, figuring out a way to coexist. Because there may be some people that, prefer Queen and Slim to Harriet. There may be some people that prefer Harriet to Queen and Slim. To me, I don't even like comparing the two.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're all black, we're all telling stories, and we all deserve to take up space.
And how are they even genre similar except being black
not.
stories?
Exactly.
They're totally different movies.
You
They're
know,
not
but it's
similar
like,
at all.
they say like black movies.
I wanted to have it with a conversation with someone who is a, black person from America, right? Because the internet likes to make these divisions, which we don't enjoy,
right?
And really talk deeply about how important that film is,
right? And I mean, to me, it's like we can't have the conversation about Harriet without Casey being here,
right?
You know what I mean? Because I don't know all those answers. Like I said, unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to have a deep conversation at the screening that I went to. But all I knew was I want to support it. I want to get behind it. I think Cynthia should come up here and speak her piece. And y'all should have Casey up here at some point. She's amazing. It's about having those conversations with the filmmakers and keeping an open space for everybody to say their piece.
How important is Tyler Perry's sound stage, and it's a stupid rhetorical question, but the setup is for the regular person to understand its significance.
Yeah, like
right?
in context of
context
Hollywood.
to business and movie making and content for black folks.
I think it's extremely important. I think it's a revolutionary thing. If I hadn't have had plans to be out of town at the time, I would have been at that celebration as well. I was there in spirit. I sent Tyler many text messages. He and I were going back and forth. We're both extremely proud of each other. And look, I think what he has built is revolutionary. It's revolutionary. And I always tell them that they're going to write about you when you're gone. Because he's doing a thing that, we as an industry need to continue to do, is to build our own table, build our own house. It's time to stop banging down doors and giving people ownership over our stories. Because the truth is, like, Universal's gonna own Queen and Slim. A studio Marvel owns Black Panther. It's like, I want to get to a place where we not only pay for our own films, but we distribute them and we own them. Because it's so interesting whenever you hear a black person say, "Oh, I just sold the show." It's great, but you're also celebrating that person giving their intellectual property over to someone else to benefit from it more so than they might. So the business has still got work to do. It's still a plantation. The cotton just looks different.
Is that what having a studio means? Like,
well, I don't know if he's going to be distributing movies, so he's not technically like a Warner Brothers or a Universal.
Okay.
Could that be a step though in it? I mean, could this be a piece towards him eventually being?
It depends on whether or not he wants to do that. And I read an interview where he said he doesn't want to do that just yet because that's like a huge undertaking to be distributing movies. So that's not necessarily what his studio is doing, but his studio does provide stages. It provides space for people to come and like make their art,
and obviously jobs in the area, and obviously the ecosystem.
And also too, that to me, what's exciting is it keeps the wealth within the community.
Right.
Because if you go rent, because it costs money to rent stages, and that money is going into the Tyler Perry studios, which is rather than paying a person like a white dude, like, hey, I need your stage to film this scene, you get to give the money to a black person, which is cool. Right. Like they shot some scenes in Black Panther on that lot, which is really amazing when you think about that.
Right, and I think Coming to America 2 is
yeah,
being shot
and I think there's some stuff for Bad Boys 3, possibly. I know that cool Instagram video of like Will and Eddie and Martin and all these cats coming together, I think because they were all on those sound stages, which he provides, which is just as significant as
and it could
else.
change Atlanta, period. I mean, Atlanta's been a big film city for a long time, but it could take it to a whole
level. Well, the cool thing is like now you got to go pay a black man to shoot on his stages, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Very dope. Her name is Lena Waithe, and she's amazing. I had one other thing here that I wanted to know about Halle Berry's lips.
I thought we mentioned this last time we talked.
I've never asked.
One more time.
Just one more time.
Just learn how to say her name. It's 2019.
Halle
bro.
Berry.
Thank you.
Halle Berry. They're soft,
Okay.
moisturized.
Juicy.
I think,
Juicy.
look, not as juicy as my wife's lips.
Okay.
Good answer. Good answer. All right, let her go now.
How about that?
She passed.
How about that?
Y'all give it
Ebro.
up for my friend Lena Waithe, man.
Hey.
Go see Queen Slim November 27th.
November 27th. Take your whole family, man.